Hi everybody, this is Osprey from MyChartCoach.com, and in this video we're going to take a look at the top small caps from today. So these are the, a lot of these were the top running small caps, and then there's a couple other ones that are setting up. And so first up we're going to take a look at BOXL. So it did close up nearly 77% today. That was a huge move. It's got RSI now at pushing 77 here, so RSI is at a high level, but it's back above 70, so it's signaling the chart is very strong. And now we have a FASTO here at 59, so there's still room to run until that 80 overbought level. The big move today put this up into testing now into this blue sky breakout territory. This stock has not been trading for a very long period of time, and these two upper wicks here on these two candles represent the only resistance overhead. So it's going to be all about breaking this 14 level and the 1750 level. Those are the only two resistance levels above on this chart. Once it gets above 1750, there's no other trading at those levels. Okay, so the close today above the open back here in the first week of May was a bullish close. It needs to stay above that level. You want to see it stay above 1150. Now, if it did drop below 1150, what you'd be looking for is the candles to work back into the bands, similar to how they did here. This candle was completely above the upper Bollinger Band, which is this purple line. You can see the candles work back in. And what you'd want to see is EMA 4 at 834 hold. Check out that big volume spike. This was the largest volume day in the history of this company. Now if you take a look at the BOXL weekly chart, you could see here, you've got RSI up here at 75. This is an all-time high for RSI and FASTO. This is an all-time, high level up here for plus DI. This is cruising. This is the history of the trading of the stock, and it just goes back from November, was when this thing started, and this week it's breaking out above the top of this candle. That was the open from the first trading day for this stock, and so what you want to see now is a weekly close above this level. Keep in mind the weekly candle this week will not set until the closing bell on Friday, so a lot can change. This is the first trading day of the week. I mean, this could close way down here at $7. Who knows? The big thing's going to be on Friday, a close above this closing price right here. That would signal more upside potential. And then now what you have on the weekly chart is just this wick up here, breaking out above 1250, and then getting through this resistance here on the trading for this week in April, and that's all. Once it gets above there, this is blue sky breakout territory. So yeah, very big move for BOXL. If you look here at the 15-minute chart, you can see where the resistance is at. Okay, so they've walked this up. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This could peak out here. If you're looking at an Elliott wave, you could get a correction wave going if it fails to break the two key resistance levels, which is going to be the top of the spike here on the second. And so that's the level that it hit today, and it failed to break the $12 level. That was the top when it got all parabolic on the second. It hit that level and it pulled back, and then it had a big gap up open on the third. And so you're going to want to try to break that first candle close. That's the all-time high close on the 15-minute chart for the stock. And so if it can get above this, we'll call it the 1450 zone, then you've got this 1750, which all this happened between the 2nd and 3rd of May. And so, there was a big volume bar here on this first candle of the day. So you do have, you are going to have resistance here since there was a lot of trading. But look at the volume today. There was a big volume flowing into this. And so what you want to see here on this chart, it'll be most bullish if EMA 4 at 1137 holds. If it breaks below, you want to see that middle Bollinger Band at 965 hold. As long as that's holding, the uptrend should continue. Okay, let's take a look at IMTE. Closed up nearly 64%. This was a nice bounce. It came down, found support, and it had a nice bounce today. RSI at 60, 61 basically. It has room to run till 70. You've got a bullish crossover here on FASTO when the black line crosses above the red line. That is a buy signal, so similar to here. Back here when you get the breakout above. What you want to see now is a break above 50. On ADX, you want to see the green line cross the red line to the upside, and so you've got the bullish homing pigeon reversal pattern formed back here on Friday, and so today's candle is confirming that pattern. And so what you want to see now are the the closing price here on this candle, so the $20 level, and then the closing price on this candle at 22. If it can break above both those levels, then it could run all the way up here to 32. That was the close here on this doji that formed, and so the downside risk is if it fails to break the 20 and 22, then it could pull back, retest this middle Bollinger Band. The bullish thing is it got above EMA's 4, 8, and 13 today. So if it stays above EMA 4 at 1579, that would be bullish. So it has to get above 22. It's going to have to break through this upper Bollinger Band at 2740, and notice how that's lining up with the upper wick on this candle. But yeah, we'll see if it can follow through now. This was a really nice move on a big volume spike. And then you've got actually I used a 30-minute chart here, and this is showing the downward channel. And so it's hitting the top of the channel right now. It needs to bust through this 19 level. If you look over here, the 100 simple moving average at 1856 is the big level to break. It's hard to see on this chart. It's the gold line. And so all these candles were hitting that level and failing to it did close above, but it's struggled all day with that level. So going forward, if it can trade 19 and above, that should signal it wants to head higher. Then you're looking at a possible run up to 25, and then above that, it could run back up into the 30s if it retraces back up. Now, if it broke below the middle Bollinger Band and the 50 simple moving average at 1539, that would be a red flag signaling it's not ready to go. It's at the top of the channel right now. It has to bust through this 19 resistance zone to head higher. Okay, let's look at PRPO. Closed up 25% today. RSI at 55 has room to run. You got the bullish crossover on ADX or on Fasto. ADX shows plus DI breaking out above ADX line, the green line above the black line. And so today there was the big gap up open. Now the red flag is you have the long upper wick here, so they did use today to dump shares, and so it actually did close right at the key level. This green line here is the 50-day simple moving average at 48. It closed just below that level. It needs to get above that level and turn that level into support to head higher. Back here in March, it closed above that level, but it failed to stay above, and the downtrend continued. Now the downside risk is if the 48 level turns into resistance, it could fill the gap between high of day on Friday and low of day today. So basically you could see a drop down to 41 to fill the gap. If that 48 level turns into support, what you want to see is a run up here to the 100-day simple moving average at 76. That would be the next key resistance level to break. Check out PSAR here, the green dots. There was a PSAR bull flip. You've got the MACD. Basically, they diluted into the run, so we'll see if it can get a reversal going. You can see all the magic happen in the first candle. I mean, they were able to unload 6.5 million shares all right here, and then what do? They just freaking attacked it. Look at this. I mean, just such a strong bear raid. It did come down to the 50 simple moving average, and it found support, so it needs to hold that 45, basically the 46 level. If it dropped below 46, that would signal more downside risk, and then you can see it drop down to this 41 to 42 level. That's where the 100, 200, and 300 simple moving averages are. To get it going to the upside, it has to get above the dotted purple line, which is the 50 simple, or the 20 simple moving average, which is the middle Bollinger Band. And so if it can get above 50, then it could get the reversal going. Okay, let's look at GALT. A nice move today, closed up 19%. Check out RSI's back above 50, Fasto's back above 50. They both have room to run. You got a nice bullish crossover here on ADX. Check out the big volume spike today. And so today there was a nice move above the middle Bollinger Band. That's the dotted purple line currently at 342. If it can turn that level into support, a new uptrend should begin. Now it did break temporarily above the 50 and 100-day simple moving averages here at 410 and 422, but it failed to close above. Okay, so going forward, it has to turn those levels into support. You can see here this descending resistance line. Okay, so that's lining up with this $5 zone. If it can get above 422, you're looking at this 480 to the $5 zone. It can be big to break. You can see here there was a lot of candles hitting this 480 level, and then if it can get above both of those, you'd be looking for a run or retrace back up to $6. $9, which was the high back here in January. That big volume spike is promising, but it has to break above that 100-day simple moving average. Okay, let's look at TNDM. Closed up 25% today. RSI is at 90. I mean, this thing is super frothy. It's got Fasto at 96, but it's pushing hard. This stock has just been a beast. Look at this beautiful chart. It's just been in a very strong trend. I mean, you know, if you just loaded down here in February when it broke above the middle Bollinger Band and you just kept riding since the middle Bollinger Band's been holding the entire time, you've been very rewarded, right? This is a huge, you know, looks like a, you know, 500% gainer, and so the lesson here is if you're a longer term swing trader and you're not worried about the day-to-day fluctuations, as long as the middle Bollinger Band, the dotted purple line here, is holding in an uptrend, the uptrend is still intact and it signals to keep riding. Now you can play EMA 4 and 8. You can see when it's really strong, it's riding the pink line, comes down and hits EMA 13 and it's riding the pink line. And so what a lot of people will do is if it dropped below EMA 4 here, they would exit and they would look to reload off of maybe EMA 13 or the middle Bollinger Band. You know, if you really like a stock in the uptrend continues, you could increase your position by rolling over the profits. And so here we've got the big breakout today. Yeah, if you look here, there is an unfilled gap below. So you have a gap between high of day on Friday and low of day today. It's a very small gap, but if it did drop down there to that $9 level, it would fill the gap. There was a giant volume spike today. I mean, look at all those green volume bars in a row. I mean, you know, it can't push straight up for, I mean, it can keep going straight up for other, but it might have a red candle pause day now that it's pushing above the upper Bollinger Band so hard. So keep that in mind. Check out the monthly chart. So in order to find resistance, you know, I wanted to show you the whole history of the trading of the stock, and so you can see it started trading back here in November of 2013. Okay, that's the very first candle here, and you can see they drove this thing down pretty much the entire history of the stock until it got down to the bottom down here. It hit this 250 level, and then a miraculous thing has happened in 2018. All of a sudden, people love it. So they you know, maybe this was during, I think this was while they were developing their product, and then now they actually have a product. You know, so we'll see if this uptrend can continue. This is a beautiful looking reversal. Check out the green dots. Okay, the dots are parabolic SAR, and they flip below. So stop and reverse, you know, signaling a new uptrend could be beginning here. You've got EMA 4 crossing over EMA 8, the pink line over the green line. That's a reversal signal as well. It's hitting the orange line. If you notice back here, that had been the big resistance, the orange and dotted purple lines, and that's EMA 13 in the middle Bollinger Band. And so you're looking at the 1110 level. That's EMA 13, so it's currently above that level. You want to see a close this month above that level. That'd be really bullish. And what you're really looking for is a close above that middle Bollinger Band at 1246. If it can turn that middle Bollinger Band into support, which it's never done in the history of this stock, because this stock has been in a downtrend the entire history of the trading on the monthly chart. And so what it's trying to do now is get the first uptrend ever. And so it's all about turning that middle Bollinger Band into support. Check out that big volume, just increasing volume. I mean, yeah, there's still you know, a couple weeks left in this month, so we'll see if this you know, green volume bar can surpass last month's volume. But this is an impressive move. If it did close below EMA 4 and 8 down there at that 720 level, you know, that would be a red flag signaling you would want to exit. As long as they're holding, you know, the uptrend is intact right now off this bounce, off the you know, this bounce off the bottom, and it signals to keep riding. Once EMA 4 breaks, and then that signals the chart is cooling down. And so let's look at MYO. Closed up 23% today. RSI is at 54, Fasto at 77, bullish crossover on ADX. It did form a black candle today. Check out the long lower wick on today's candle. People were loading off of low of day. It hit EMA 4, 8, and 13, the middle Bollinger Band, the 50-day and 100-day simple moving averages, and was able to close above all of them. So that was a big close above 6 moving averages. So if it can stay above the 100-day simple moving average at 386, it should signal upside potential. Right now it's hitting this 4 to 410 level. You know that this has been resistance, this closing price here on this black candle. It's also this descending resistance line. If it can bust above this level, then what you're looking for is a run up to the 200-day simple moving average at 461. That'll be the next target if the moving average is below and $4 turns into support. Notice the big volume spike today, so that was bullish. You've got MACD is starting to hook up. You want to see bullish crossovers on both MACD timeframes. Okay, check out AST, closed up 17% today. RSI at 65, Fasto at 71. You got the bullish crossover on ADX. Nice follow through today. This closed above the middle Bollinger Band on Friday. It had closed above briefly on the first week of May, and then it pulled back. This was the signal that it was heating up. The last close above the middle Bollinger Band was back here in February. And so what we were looking for after this move on Friday was a close above the 50-day simple moving average. That's the green line, and that did happen today. So what you want to see is that level, 155, turn into support. It ran up to the 100-day simple moving average and pulled back, and so that's the big level to break now, 180. It has to turn that level into support to head higher. If it fails to, you want to see that 50-day simple moving average hold. It stalled out last time in this zone, you know, between the 50 and 100-day simple moving averages. It'll be a bullish change in trend if it gets above that 100, and you'll be looking for a run up to the 200-day simple moving average at 239. Notice the big volume spike today. That upper wick does show that they were doing, you know, there's some profit taken, probably some dilution going on. But yeah, this still has some room to run with RSI at 65, so we'll see if it can keep, you know, pushing higher. Okay, take a look at DDE. Yeah, we you know, went over a bunch of gaming stocks today in the chat. Anybody that's interested, come check it out. I did I posted a lot of charts with technical analysis, just highlighting you know, the stocks that were big in play today. You know, and they were large caps, and I was showing the options information. But you came across this stock. This is a small cap penny stock that's also in the gaming industry. I mean, it even says gambling right here, right? And so DDE closed up 17%. This stock has been a beast. It has a nice uptrend going, and then today it broke out higher. It has a big volume. This is one of the larger volume days in the history of the stock. It closed above high close resistance here. That's what you want to see turn into support down here around 157. You know, that upper wick on today's candle does show some profit taking, you know, possibly some dilution. But as long as it holds EMA4, as long as it stays above this 157 to 160 level, you know, the uptrend should continue. Today's candle did close above the upper Bollinger Band, so sometimes the candles will work back into the bands. If you look here at the DDE weekly chart, you can see it's breaking out on the weekly chart as well. Notice how it broke out above that blue line. That's the 300-week moving average. It's super strong. It's riding EMA4 at 157 support higher. As long as that's holding, you know, the signals to keep riding. It is pushing above that upper Bollinger Band this week, so keep that in mind. You know, it's going to have to bust through this 205 level. Notice the big volume in 2018. So they've been, you know, people have been loading this thing up. If you look here on the DDE monthly chart, this is going to show you the key level to break. It's all about the gold line. That's the 100-month moving average, and so that's going to be the tough level to break. It's currently at 178. Notice how it pulled back below that level. If you see a monthly close above 178, above the 100-month moving average, that should be a clear signal that wants to head higher, similar to this close above the 50-month moving average. Notice how you have to go way off this chart. I mean, we're talking about like, you know, 2008, maybe 2007. It might have been up here. I mean, the 100-month moving average has only been on this, you know, showing up on the stock since 2010, and there's never been a monthly close above that level. So if it closed above that level for a month, that would be major confirmation. I mean, right now, when you have a monthly chart that has the candles forming above the middle Bollinger Band and the 50-month moving average, and they're writing EMA4 support higher, the signal is to ride. You know, if you're a longer-term swing trader, you know, don't worry about the intraday charts. You don't even have to worry about the daily chart if you're looking at stocks longer term. Just go off the weekly and monthly chart, and if they're bullish, you can keep riding. If you've got the monthly chart just riding EMA4 and 150s holding, it's going to signal more upside potential. Okay, let's look at AMRS, closed up nearly 6%. Yeah, you've got a nice bounce down here off of the 100-day simple moving average. Okay, so you've got RSI RSI here needs to get above 50. Fasto closed above 54. Check out how the red line, minus DI cross below 80x. That's a signal the bulls are heating up. You can see plus DI spiking. And so it came down here. It held the 100-day simple moving average at 559. It needs to hold that level. And today the bullish development was the close above EMAs 4 and 8. That was a nice close. It needs to stay above both those levels. I think it was trading at like 610 at where that it closed at in after hours trading. So you have EMA 8 at 614. It needs to stay above that level. If you see it drop below 614, and definitely if you see it drop below $6, that's going to be a signal that AMRS is not ready to head higher. It did report earnings today after the close, so there wasn't a big sell-off, but it didn't run up either. What you're looking for tomorrow, if you're a bull, is a break above this green and dotted purple line. If you can get above the middle Bollinger Band and the 50-day simple moving average in the 642 resistance zone, then it could get a new uptrend going. So we're going to keep an eye on it. There's another stock in the same sector, RKDA. Okay, these are in this specialty chemicals, and RKDA is in the same one. And so these were hot a few months ago, and they were ups. They were running, and so yeah. So now we're keeping an eye on them to see if they can heat back up. So if AMRS gets moving, maybe that'll help out RKDA here. We had this on the radar in the chat today, and it did close above EMA 4. That's what we were looking for. There hadn't been a close above EMA 4 since back here when it had got above the middle Bollinger Band. So this is the first time since the second week of April that there's been a close above that level. When they flip the algorithm to let it close above a key resistance level like that, you want to take notice, because it's a bullish change in trend. All of these candles, every single one of them are below the pink line. Once they finally let it close above, that signals that something's changed. It went from making it close below every time, not letting it get above, to now they finally did. Got to take a look. Okay, so what it has to do now is get above EMA 8 at 958. That it has a lot of moving averages lined up here. I mean, I never like it when they're stacked up like this, because it just doesn't give you much space to work with. But because we try to trade in between the moving averages. But the bottom line is you've got EMA 8, the 200, the 300, and the 100-day simple moving averages in EMA 13. They're all stacked up here. I mean, once it gets above the 100-day simple moving average at 1279, the middle Bollinger Band at 1430 would be on deck, and it needs to turn that into support to make a run up to that 50-day simple moving average at 2058. Right now, the big levels, this basically the $9.50 to $10 level. If you see it trading above 10, then it could run up to this $11 zone where that 300-day simple moving average is at. Take a look at the 15-minute chart for RKDA. You can see how it's heating up. They drove it down. It found support down here in the mid sevens, and then how you know it's heating up? It got above the middle Bollinger Band. It hadn't been able to get above that level. It tried and tried, but when it was bullish, it was above the middle Bollinger Band. Finally, it got above, and then it got above the 50 simple moving average. That's the green line, and it got above the gold line. That's the 100 simple moving average, and then it even got above the red line, the 200 simple moving average. So it's working its way higher. If it can stay above the 200 simple moving average at 908, that would be bullish. And what we're looking for is a run up to the 300 simple moving average at 1008. That is the top moving average on this chart. Many times when it's tested, it could signal a temporary top, but if it were to close above and turn into support, that would signal that it wants to head higher. Okay, let's look at HUSA. Closed up 10% today. So yeah, this had after hours price at 30, so they ran this thing after hours. So if it did open tomorrow at 30, cents or around that zone, that would put it up above the 50 and 100-day simple moving averages. You have the 50-day simple moving average at 27. It traded above that today, but failed to close above and pulled back. It was a good close above the middle Bollinger Band down here at 245. That was the first close above the middle Bollinger Band since back here in March, and so that was a bullish change in trend. And what you're looking for is this 100-day simple moving average to turn into support. If it can get above that 100-day simple moving average at 29, that would be super bullish. It had topped out at that level. It couldn't break that level back in March. So if it was able to stay above that level, that would be a bullish change in trend, and then it could work its way back up to that 200-day simple moving average at 37. If it fails to break 27, or if it dropped back down below that level, it needs to hold that middle Bollinger Band to get a new uptrend going. Notice it had the nice volume spike. Okay, another one to look at is DERM. This just just caught my eye today. It closed up 10%. If you look here on the chart, you could see today it got above this bottom of the gap level. Okay, is down here, and then it had the high close right here, and then on Friday you can see it closed just above that level. And when you get a close, see, notice how all these candles were failing to break that red line. It finally closed above on Friday. That was your clue that it was ready to head higher. And then today you were rewarded. It actually happened. It busted higher. And so right now this is filling the gap. I mean, you could see there's just a big space here between low of day on this candle and high of day on this candle. So it's working its way higher. So keep an eye on it. I mean, the next moving average is the 100-day simple moving average all the way up at 1826. Yeah, you want to see it stay above this level right here, above $11. If it dropped below 11 or below EMA 4 at 1081, that would signal that it's a signal that it's going to consolidate. But if those levels are holding, it's signaling more upside potential. Okay, and then finally, take a look at IDXG. I'm showing you this one because it closed above the 50-day simple moving average today. That's the green line. If it could stay above that level at 94 and then get above the 100-day simple moving average at 99, that would be bullish. The last time it got above the 100-day simple moving average was on this doji back here in March, and it failed to hold and it pulled back. So it'll be a bullish change in trend if you see it close above that level and it turns into support. It could run up to that 200-day simple moving average at 112. So keep an eye on IDXG. All right, thanks for viewing this video. Come check out the chat. I'll post the link on the YouTube video below the video. Okay, thank you.